Good morning, everyone. I'm Alex Finney, and this is the CBS42 Morning News. We begin with breaking news of storm damage across central Alabama. There are reports of trees and down power lines in Marion County, especially near Hamilton. Now in Coleman County, we do know that the volunteer fire department there confirms a report of a tree on a house and people are trapped inside. At this time, we are working to get more information, so stay with us right here throughout the show as we learn more in the next few hours. All right, on that note, let's check in with Storm Track meteorologist Nate Harrington, who joins us with another check on our Sunday morning forecast. And Nate, we're tracking some pretty severe storms. How's the weather looking right now? Yeah, the good news is those severe storms now tracking into Georgia. And we do have several reports of damage that you were talking about. And thankfully, a lot of it stayed to our north and to our west. Folks in Mississippi and Tennessee saw the lion's share of all the strong storms. But our heaviest concentration of storm reports were in Coleman County and also in Marion County near Hamilton. Near Vinemont in Coleman County, they reported a wind gust of 78 miles per hour earlier this morning. So you can tell the wind was there to create all that damage, and that's exactly what we saw. The storms that moved through central Alabama actually started way back in the Midwest, moved through West Tennessee, and swept through between around 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock early this morning. Right now, all of that really heavy stuff is into Georgia. We were talking about not only strong winds, but lots and lots of lightning, heavy rainfall, and even some small hail at times. Right now, the end of this line now sagging south of I-20 and 59. I don't think we're going to see any more redevelopment of thunderstorms, but rain chances, we could see more of that for today, and especially for Memorial Day. We'll talk about that in the Storm Track 7-day in a few minutes, Alex. All right, Nate, thanks so much. Developing now, a woman is in the hospital after being shot in the back of the head. This happened, we know, in Blount County. Now, we first told you about this as breaking news last night at 10 o'clock. Deputies tell CBS42 that they have a person of interest, but no one is in custody at this time. Right now, they're interviewing witnesses, and investigators believe the shooting could be drug-related. There's an alert out right now for a missing 15-year-old girl out of Huntsville, North City, and she was last seen on May 2nd. She's described as having dark brown hair and eyes, and she may be wearing glasses. She's 5 feet 7 inches tall and weighs 120 pounds. If you've seen her or you have any information about where she could be, you're asked to call the Madison County Sheriff's Office. Right now, police are also looking for this missing senior. The Mobile County Sheriff's Department is asking for help finding Vernon Lindsay. Lindsay is 78 years old and suffers from Alzheimer's. He was last seen around 6:30 Friday night wearing khaki shorts, a red, black, and white hooded jacket, and lightweight working boots. Right now, Irondale police are investigating their first homicide of the year. We're told Draker Christian was shot in the backyard of a home. He was visiting a female friend who lives in that house, and police have named Broderick Morgan as a suspect. He's the ex-boyfriend of a woman who lives at that house, and the two have a child together. Investigators believe Morgan thought that Christian was dating his ex-girlfriend. Stay with us because we're learning more throughout the morning, and we'll pass it along to you right here on our show. Covering Hoover, police are investigating after a woman is found dead inside of her car in a parking lot. It happened yesterday in the Cadian's Place Shopping Center on Cahaba Valley Road. Hoover police tell us there are no obvious signs of trauma or injury, but the cause of death is pending an autopsy. Covering the Alabama legislature this morning, the state has a new law to prevent voters from switching parties between a primary and a subsequent runoff. Now, Republican Senator Tom Whately, who sponsored the measure, says it will prevent voters from trying to interfere in another party's runoff. Secretary of State John Merrill says the law will be in place for an anticipated September runoff for the U.S. Senate seat, which was previously held by Jeff Sessions. New today, President Trump officially wraps up his first foreign trip of his presidency and is now back in Washington. He made his last stop at a U.S. air base in Italy. CBS News correspondent Wendy Gillette has the latest from New York.
President Trump focused on fighting terrorism and increasing military spending in a speech to U.S. troops at a base in Sicily, Italy, Saturday.
We're going to have a lot of strength, and we're going to have a lot of peace. We will buy the planes, the ships, vehicles, and equipment you need to get your job done and to come home safe and sound back to your families.
It was the president's final stop on his 9-day overseas trip, his first since taking office.
I think we hit a home run no matter where we are.
Earlier Saturday, President Trump joined other leaders of G7 nations for a group photo. During the G7 summit, the leaders held conversations with the president about climate change, trying to convince him to stick with the Paris Agreement. He tweeted that he'll make a decision about the accord next week. Mr. Trump held no news conferences during his trip, unusual for a president on his first overseas journey. But he made plenty of news, chastising NATO members for not spending enough money.
23 of the 28 member nations are still not paying what they should be paying and what they are supposed to be paying for their defense.
President Trump also signed a $110 billion arms deal in Saudi Arabia and became the first sitting president to visit the Western Wall in Jerusalem. He has no public events until Monday, when he'll mark Memorial Day at Arlington Cemetery. Wendy Gillette for CBS News.
We do know following the trip, President Trump has postponed a rally in Iowa that was set to take place on Thursday. Right now, the 208th Seaburn Company in Alabama is getting ready to deploy to the Middle East for Operation Enduring Freedom. The company is the first in Alabama to be deployed on a chemical mission. They got a special meal last night. We know about 10 businesses and churches put the dinner together to show their appreciation to the troops and also to support their families.
We're pretty honored to be the very first hazmat chemical unit in the state of Alabama to go on this type of mission. We've trained a lot of long hours. We're prepared to show our stuff, to make sure and let everybody know that the 208th is there to assist and to respond in any situation.
The soldiers are set to deploy this Memorial Day weekend. Also right now, a Korean War veteran's remains are finally home here in central Alabama. The family and friends of Private First Class Thomas Stagg waited for his casket right there on the tarmac of the Birmingham Shuttlesworth International Airport with a lot of emotion tied to this 60-year homecoming. 67 years ago, Private First Class Tommy Stagg was killed in action with 10 other men on patrol. Stagg's nephew is now sharing this reaction after the emotional homecoming. Take a listen.
We've just been through so many years of disbelief, understanding that we were dealing with an irrational regime in North Korea. We really never thought that his remains would ever come back.
Without the Defense POW MIA accounting agency, the family feels they never would have gotten this closure. The Leonard family is encouraging more people to look into the work that's being done by the DPAA. You can find a link on our website, WIAT.com. Stagg will be laid to rest on Monday, Memorial Day, right at Elmwood Cemetery here in Birmingham. On that note, let's take a look at your top headlines to know this Sunday morning. First, going to this story, family members released the picture of another person killed in the Manchester terror attack. 14-year-old Nell Jones was one of the 22 people killed during that Ariana Grande concert. Family says that was Jones' first pop concert. Meanwhile, Greater Manchester police released new surveillance pictures of suspected concert bomber Salman Abedi. They were taken the night of the attack as he went to an apartment in downtown Manchester. Investigators believe the apartment may be the place where that bomb was put together. And Panama's government is tightening its visa controls for people from Venezuela, Colombia, and Nicaragua. The government announced it will reduce from 180 to 90 days the legal stay for tourists from those countries. And on that note, those are your top headlines to know this Sunday morning. As always, go to our website, WIAT.com, for more news of the day. Police arrest a driver who crashes his car at Baltimore-Washington International Airport. We know that driver rammed his car through a security gate yesterday afternoon. Well, the Maryland Transportation Authority says the driver ran through a closed security gate at Signature Flight Support, which is mostly used for private and charter flights. Commercial flight passengers were just a feet away as transportation police arrested one suspect. That person is now being questioned by local and federal authorities.
This is still a very active investigation at this time, so we don't have really much more information to go on as investigators go into the reason why the individual did drive through the security gate.
Investigators say the incident is not terrorism related. Commercial flights at the airport were not affected. Taking a turn now, a sad development this morning. Uber CEO Travis Kalanick's parents were both involved in a boating accident, and we have learned that his mother was killed and his father was badly injured. The accident happened Friday in Fresno County, California. Police say Kalanick's parents were missing in the Upper Kings River. The couple's boat hit a rock, and his 71-year-old mother, Bonnie, died right there on the scene. His father, Donald, was airlifted to the hospital. Your time right now, it is 5:11 this morning, and there are more problems with the popular hoverboard, but it's not people actually falling off of them this time. Next, why one state is investigating the board after crews are called to a house in Kansas.
Watching the last of the showers and thunderstorms move out. Still have some lingering rain and maybe a few more showers to deal with on this Sunday, but more rain from Memorial Day. Details coming up, and the CBS 42 Morning News continues.
You're watching the CBS 42 Morning News.
Welcome back. Now that the severe weather is out of our hair, let's talk about what we can expect for the rest of your Sunday. I still think a chance, at least a small chance, we see a shower, maybe a thunderstorm through the 10 o'clock hour. Then things start to turn a little bit nicer by 11, noon, 1 o'clock. Numbers back in the middle and low 80s with a little bit of sunshine. We're not going to see a totally sunny sky today. We'll call it partly sunny, but mostly cloudy for your Sunday. The showers that we still have around right now, most of the heavier ones are now well out of the region into Georgia, approaching Atlanta, but we still have a couple little areas of some stronger storms. One right now in Talladega County. This one will continue to move off to the east and southeast pretty quickly. Now, high temperatures for today, numbers in the middle and upper 80s for a lot of us. 85 Coleman, 84 Hamilton, 87 Birmingham, Jasper. Some spots hitting that 90-degree mark for this afternoon with a partly sunny sky. Numbers will be a little bit cooler for tomorrow just because we'll see more cloud cover and more rainfall. We'll break down those rainfall chances. Your complete Storm Track 7-day coming up in a few minutes. Alex?
All right, Nate, thanks so much. Over to this story now. A suspected hoverboard explosion causes a house fire in Topeka, Kansas. The fire started at this house in Soldier Township, and according to dispatch, someone called and reported a hoverboard exploded in the garage and started a fire. Everyone was able to get out of that house safely. We know no one was actually hurt in that fire. The Kansas Fire Marshal's office is investigating. Coming up this week, there's some important road work going on that may impact your commute if you live right here in central Alabama. Beginning on Tuesday, County Road 28 in Shelby County will be closed from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. The road is set to be closed through Friday, June 2nd. The alternative route will be County Road 30. Over in Tuscaloosa, Red Drew Avenue will be closed between 6th Street and 8th Street. This road work will also be going on Tuesday from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. In consumer news this morning, collectors will have a chance to snag a one-of-a-kind Civil War document this Memorial Day. It's believed to be the only document with the signatures of President Abraham Lincoln and his fellow Union leaders. They signed it in 1861 to help a private agency raise money to help sick and wounded Union troops. Right now, it will cost you about $150,000. We know 10% of that amount will go to Fisher House Foundation. That's helping military veterans and their families. Amazon is opening its first brick-and-mortar bookstore in New York City. The Manhattan location is in the same area where traditional bookstores like Borders and Barnes & Noble have shut their doors. Amazon Books has 6 other locations around the country and plans to open several more by the end of the year. All right, we got a recall alert to tell you about this morning. If you're planning on doing yard work this weekend, keep this in mind. Thousands of lawnmowers have been recalled. Around 28,000 Cobalt and Greenworks brands of cordless electric lawnmowers sold at Lowe's are being recalled because they could catch fire. Now, the lawnmowers were sold from 2014 to 2016. The maker, Hong Kong Sunrise Trading, says you should remove the battery and contact the company for a free repair. 5 fires have been reported, but so far there have been no known injuries. If you've eaten at Chipotle Mexican Grill lately, you'll want to listen to this story right here. A data breach from earlier this week affected 13 Alabama restaurants. The breach happened between March 24th and April 18th of this year. An investigation found there was a way to actually access your personal information, like you have the cardholder's name, the number, expiration date, and internal verification code. Now, Chipotle is asking you to review your bank statements for any unauthorized activity. Well, it's the season for summer vacations, and if you're lucky enough to get some time off, there's some important money-saving information that you may need to know about. CBS money expert Jill Schlesinger tells us what we need to know on this Sunday morning.
This weekend kicks off summer travel season. While many Americans do not get paid vacation, those who do often don't take advantage of it. The number of annual vacation days Americans use has steadily declined over the past 2 decades. That lost time means that workers are leaving over $52 billion in benefits on the table. While some cite budget constraints, many simply don't want to take the time to plan. But your next reasonably priced trip is likely just a few clicks away. If you're looking to fly, Southwest and JetBlue are the top airlines when it comes to frequent flyer seat availability. That's according to consulting firm IdeaWorks. Don't fret if you don't have lots of miles. To score a good deal on flights, start with larger search engines like Google Flights or Kayak. Then call the airlines because they often hold back many of their best fares. Check regional airports outside of major cities and know that the day of the week can make a big difference. Using the right travel credit card can save more than $1,000 over the first 2 years of use. According to WalletHub, the best overall card for travel is the Barclay Card Arrival Plus World Elite. The best bonus card, the Chase Sapphire Preferred. The one that delivers the best hotel rewards, Starwood Credit Card. In New York, I'm Jill Schlesinger.
Those are some pretty good tips. Thanks so much, Jill. All right, in entertainment news this morning, the world is remembering music legend Gregg Allman. He died yesterday at the age of 69. A publicist for rock legend Gregg Allman says the Allman Brothers band singer died yesterday at his home in Savannah, Georgia. He had canceled some 2016 tour dates for health reasons. In March of 2017, he canceled performances for the rest of the year. Your time right now, it is 5:19 this morning, and after the break, 2 teenagers in Indiana love Walmart so much that they're making a challenge out of it. Ahead, how long 2 boys stayed in the store and what they all did during their extended stay. You're watching CBS 42 Morning News. Much more right after the break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You're watching the CBS 42 Morning News.
Welcome back, everyone. New this morning, just days before their college graduation, two close friends were seriously injured in a car crash and they couldn't make it to their ceremony. So thanks to the president of the university, that ceremony came to them. Emily Lester and Allie Gales were students at Heidelberg University in Columbus, Ohio. They were set to graduate on May 14th when the crash changed their lives. Allie and Emily both had major injuries, so attending graduation, it wasn't even an option. That's where the president of the college stepped in.
My family was there. They were able to see me graduate, and it was just everything I could have hoped for.
The president of the college traveled to the girls' hospital room and personally delivered their diplomas right there on the spot. Also new this morning, two teenagers are taking Shop Till You Drop to a whole new level. The teens have just staged a challenge to stay 48 hours in a central Indiana Walmart. That's right, Christian and Noah have a show on YouTube, and the challenge is actually part of their show. So for 2 nights, the boys slept in the store shelves hidden by boxes. They ate in the store. They even got themselves a haircut. Yeah. The boys say they knew this would be the video that would land them national attention.
The concept is basically to showcase our humor, to make funny stuff that we think is funny and we think other people will find it's funny, and to make people laugh.
All right. Well, the media and film students say all this that they had going on, it's definitely next level, Nate. I would agree with them on that.
I'm trying to figure out what the motivation was. I know they want to make people laugh and they want to do stuff funny, but...
Because they were in the store for 48 hours.
Yeah. I mean, what do you... there's a lot to do, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
But
I want to know the haircut how that all that went down.
Just got buzz cuts.
Right.
That's it. That's a way to waste 10 minutes.
Interesting.
10 minutes of their 48 hours.
15 minutes of fame, maybe longer. We'll see.
Who knows?
All right, Nate.
Yeah.
So on a more serious note here, a little bit closer to home, we have some severe weather that we have been dealing with. You said it's rolling on out, though.
It's out of here.
Okay.
It's out of here. Thank goodness. We are done with it. The severe thunderstorm watch that we had in effect is now over. That's good news. We still have damage that's going to be needed to clean up for early this morning. And as we start to see a little bit of sunlight, a little bit of daylight with a cloud cover right now out over downtown Birmingham from the BJCC. We see temperatures in the mid-60s. There's still a lot of moisture in the air, a lot of icky stickiness that we're going to feel for today just because of the air mass still in place. And I don't expect us to see widespread thunderstorms for the next few hours, but the chances are going to be there as another little outflow boundary rolls in from the north. But after that, 10, 11 o'clock, things do start to dry out just a little bit. Not so much, but just a little bit. We'll see some sunshine out there. The strongest of the storms still left over now through Talladega County, from Sylacauga up through Talladega. Folks in Cleburne and Clay County, you're seeing some of the showers now as well. Folks in Sylacauga in about 5 minutes or so. Folsom in 12 minutes. Hawk and Wedowee, love those names, in about 25 minutes or so. And then Roopville in about 37 minutes. Now, models are having a really hard time figuring out these storms, and because they're all driven by other boundaries, not really anything large scale. So the computer model's having a hard time with it, but just know that we've got another shot at some showers late tonight, early on Monday, and then again on Monday morning into Monday afternoon. It's not going to be a complete washout for Monday, for Memorial Day. You will have some opportunities to be outside. Just not going to see a whole lot of sunshine, and temperatures are going to stay in the middle to low 80s range with more showers and thunderstorms possible late on Monday and then again on Tuesday. So unfortunately, kind of a wet scenario setting up for us for Memorial Day weekend, for the rest of it at least. On Tuesday, as we start the work week off, we're going to stay unsettled, and that unsettled weather pattern stays with us all the way till the start of next weekend. Alex?
All right. Thanks, Nate. Your time right now, it is 5:26 this morning, and it's officially race day at the Indy 500, and fans can't wait to see who wins today's big race. Stay with us right here on CBS 42, because after the break, we are live from Indianapolis for a first-hand look at all the action. We'll be right back.
No? Yeah, hey, I can hear you guys. So Alex is the anchor? All right, and is Alex going to ask me a question after? Yes. Okay. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. And then just say Alex back to you is fine. Toss back. Okay. Hey, who does everyone want to win?
Good morning, Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Anniston, and all of Central Alabama. You're watching the CBS 42 Morning News.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for waking up with us. It's the CBS 42 Morning News, and I am Alex Finney. And we are starting you off on a very fun note this morning. It's the day that everyone has been waiting for. It's race day at the Indy 500 in Indianapolis. And CBS 42 is giving you an up-close and personal look this morning. On that note, let me bring in CBS 42 News correspondent Patrick Moore, who's joining us live from Indianapolis with all the preparations. Patrick, you're there. What's it looking like? A whole lot of anticipation.
Well, good morning, Alex, and happy race day. The doors just opened a little bit ago, which means we are getting closer and closer to the 101st running of the Indianapolis 500 here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And the anticipation is really starting to build here in Speedway, Indiana, especially for those who have been camping out since Wednesday. Yes, campgrounds, parking lots have been packed to the brim all week long with people who are partaking in all sorts of different activities to pass the time until the big race gets here. Activities like creating a makeshift pit stop. That's right, there's been an unofficial pit crew hard at work right outside Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the past week, and they're just a handful of the many IndyCar fans that are enjoying themselves as the big race approaches.
It's a lot of fun, a lot of anticipation, and regardless of the weather, we're all going to have a good time. It's like the Midwest Mardi Gras. It's a time to celebrate friends, family, an upcoming race. It's a great time, and it's a great city we live in.
We start on Wednesday and go through, well, we clean up on Monday, so it's just an exciting week.
We've been doing simulated pit stops. We did a woolly mammoth walk earlier, dancing. We got fog machines, laser lights. It's a good time.
And we actually went through the simulated pit stop with our news car. They gave us a tune-up, and they were pretty efficient, I am not going to lie. So a lot of fun happening here in Speedway, Indiana, and at Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Yeah, Patrick, it looks like it's a whole lot of fun out there. One woman said they start on Wednesday, clean up Monday. But the big question I have is, what are fans telling you in terms of their prediction as to who might win the Indy 500?
Well, with a race like this, the field is pretty wide open. People say the pole sitter, Scott Dixon, is going to win, or the Fernando Alonso, the Formula One driver, who is giving his little taste of the Indy 500 this year. But give me Helio Castroneves, give him the 4th overall win of his career. I think that would be pretty cool. So those three are I think the top 3 storylines you're looking for if you want to pick a winner.
Patrick, thanks so much. We will all be watching that with a whole lot of anticipation. All right, everyone, on that note, let's check in on your Sunday morning forecast with Storm Track meteorologist Nate Harrington. Nate, can you race us through this forecast? You see what I did there?
I'm not going to race us too much through the forecast. I'll take my time. We're talking about the chances of a few more showers around for this morning into the afternoon hours after the severe storms that we had roll through already. Cloud cover still hanging around in Birmingham. Some low and high level clouds right now. Temperatures in the mid 60s, 67 degrees. Winds are light, calm, but we weren't calm, definitely. We had a lot of strong winds a little bit earlier ago. Thunderstorms that moved through central Alabama, some of them severe. Didn't see a whole lot of wind here in Birmingham, but folks in Marion County, also in Coleman County, saw winds of in excess of 60 to 70 miles per hour. This is all that's left. Not a whole lot of thunderstorms. One small cluster of storms still in Talladega County, and that is about it. Everything moving down to the south pretty quickly. Now, the chances of a couple of more showers are possible through the rest of the morning until we get to around 11 to 12 o'clock this afternoon. Things will start to improve. I think we still stay mostly cloudy. We'll call it partly sunny. But temperatures, though, will warm up. With all that humidity around, it's going to feel very humid outside with high temperatures in the middle and upper 80s. More rain expected for Memorial Day. Details on that coming up in just a few minutes, Alex.
All right, Nate, thanks. Breaking overnight, North Korea leader Kim Jong-un supervises the test of a new anti-aircraft weapon system. He's also ordering its mass production and deployment throughout the country, according to state media. State-run television showed video of Kim watching military drills with his aides. The North has been pushing to develop a wide range of weapon systems since early last year at an unprecedented pace, including a long-range missile capable of striking the United States. This Memorial Day weekend, law enforcement is going to be out in full force across the state. We know that they're going to be keeping everyone safe on the road and also on the water. Aaliyah wants to remind you to have fun, but of course, keep safety in mind. And also, Highway Patrol is focusing on the Click It or Ticket campaign. Also right now, we're learning more information about the deadly Manchester, England concert attack. Police now have more suspects in custody. British police announced 3 more arrests yesterday. They also reduced the terrorism threat level notch from critical to severe. This comes as police said major progress has been made in unraveling the plot behind the Manchester bombing.
I can say that the high pace and rapid progress of this investigation is continuing. Indeed, there were 3 more arrests overnight. We now have 11 men in custody. There's now 17 searches either concluded or continuing on various addresses, largely in the northwest of the country. And we're getting a greater understanding of the preparation of the bomb.
Officials also say extra police presence will gradually be withdrawn by Monday. New this morning, criticism is building over the Trump administration's proposed budget. Reports show it could result in millions losing health care benefits and thousands losing jobs. Dr. Anthony Yance works in Kentucky, and he employs 50 people. He says that his practice continues to grow. But we know Kentucky, which expanded Medicaid and created its own insurance exchange under Obamacare, has seen both patients and the healthcare workers who serve them skyrocket. But now there is a concern that jobs are at risk if the Obamacare Medicaid expansion is eliminated by 2020.
20,000 jobs, which is about double the number of jobs we've lost in the coal industry. So it would be the other shoe to drop on the economy of Eastern Kentucky.
Nurses are in high demand in Kentucky, and a former Walmart has even been converted into a supersized medical center. Legislation is in the works to restore a controversial part of the Voting Rights Act. It would force states with a history of voter discrimination to get federal approval before making changes to voting laws. Alabama Congresswoman Terry Sewell is now weighing in on this proposal. And on that note, CBS 42's Washington correspondent Drew Petrimo has this story for us.
Supporters of the legislation say racial discrimination in voting remains a serious concern in many parts of the country.
There's no greater threat, I think, to our democracy than access to the ballot box.
Alabama Democrat Terry Sewell says voter ID laws, closing polling stations, and reducing early voting periods all have more impact on minority voters. 4 years ago, the U.S. Supreme Court struck down part of the 1965 Voting Rights Act. The court said a formula used to determine which states needed federal permission before changing voting laws was outdated.
The disparities in voting rates by race or registration rates by race did not correspond to which jurisdictions had been covered.
Sewell's legislation develops a new formula that only looks at violations after 1990.
And believe it or not, 14 states have had 4 or more statewide violations of voter discrimination, including the state of Alabama, Arizona, New York, California.
Representative Sewell says she plans to introduce her legislation this summer, but with a Republican-controlled Congress, it likely faces an uphill battle. Ilya Shapiro with the Libertarian Cato Institute says courts can police violations of voting rights without pre-clearance requirements, and he rejects the notion that voting laws target minorities.
That's a patronizing argument. That's like saying that members of racial minority groups are incapable of functioning in society.
There are still modern-day barriers to voting.
Sewell admits that she's struggling to attract Republican co-sponsors, but she says she'll continue to push her legislation that she sees as critical to continuing progress on civil rights. In Washington, I'm Drew Petrimo.
Well, Sewell and Democrats in Congress introduced similar legislation in 2015, but it was never brought up for consideration in the Republican-controlled Congress. Happening today, Alabama Veterans Memorial Park will host a special Memorial Day remembrance ceremony. The tribute will start at 1 o'clock this afternoon with a performance by the Bob Moore Band. There will also be a stepstone dedication by the Alabama Veterans Memorial Foundation at the American Flag Plaza from 2 to 3:30 this afternoon. The event is free and open to the public. The Alabama Veterans Memorial Park is off the Liberty Parkway exit on Interstate 459. Your time right now, it is 5:39, and Birmingham comes out for one tasty fundraiser that's all about chips and salsa. Who doesn't love that, right? Coming up, we're off to the Salsa Showdown, where restaurants are hoping to be the best of the best.
And showers are quickly moving on out of Alabama, but I think we stand a chance to see a few more for the afternoon and Memorial Day as well on Monday. Details coming up when the CBS 42 Morning News continues.
You're watching the CBS 42 Morning News.
Welcome back. Taking a look at your forecast hour by hour through the morning. A few more showers around central Alabama. We'll take a look at the radar here in just a second. Don't think we'll see too many thunderstorms, but rain definitely in the forecast until we get to around 10 to 11 o'clock where things start to dry out. We still hang on to the cloud cover, but temperatures do warm up back into the middle 80s for a good chunk of us, and some spots in the upper 80s, close to 90 degrees. So here are the scattered showers that we still have around from right near the Talladega-Clay County line and moving off to the east pretty rapidly. We'll draw a storm track here and show you where these storms are headed. Basically due east and just a little bit farther to the south and east. So Highland, Lineville, Swag, and Wedowee here in the next half an hour. You can expect this cluster of showers to move in. Some lightning with this, but not a whole lot. You can see the motion of these storms has basically been southeast all morning long, and some of the stronger ones packed a lot of wind and a lot of lightning. Damage from especially Marion County up to Coleman County, where they saw winds 60, 70, close to 80 miles per hour earlier this morning. There you see temperatures, high temperature numbers in the middle 80s to close to 90 degrees in some spots. Utah seeing a number at 90 degrees for afternoon high. Clanton at 88, Alexander City, Sylacauga, Talladega 87 degrees. I think that's where we'll be in Birmingham as well. More rain chances for Monday. Details coming up in just a few minutes, Alex.
All right, Nate, thank you. Happening today, Governor Kayak is set to speak at the Alabama Boys State's opening ceremony. Now, Boys State is actually a week-long convention of more than 600 rising high school seniors from schools across Alabama. This is the 80th year of Alabama Boys State, which is sponsored by the American Legion. Ivy is set to speak today at 2 p.m. at the University of Alabama's Ferguson Center Ballroom. Covering Birmingham this morning, it was one tasty fundraiser yesterday. The 7th annual Salsa Showdown happened at the Cahaba Brewing Company, and it was sponsored by Alagasco and benefits the Sidewalk Film Festival. We know there were tons of restaurants trying to win the title for Best Salsa and Queso, including After Midnight Salsa Company, La Paz Restaurant, Magic City Salsa, and Rojo Birmingham. Looks really good. And now going over to Coleman. It's the unofficial kickoff to summer, and the county is welcoming in some pretty big crowds. Yesterday afternoon and evening, the parks were hosting their annual Memorial Day Festival at Smith Lake Park. There was free admission, live performances, and lots of fun things to do. The park estimates they had anywhere from 3,000 to 10,000 people come out for that event.
But it is kind of a hidden jewel of Coleman. Everybody loves to come to the lake, especially Memorial Day and the 4th of July.
Well, organizers say this Memorial Day Fest really kicks off their festival season. There will be 4 festivals this year at Smith Lake Park. Your time right now, it is 5:46 this morning, and President Trump and the First Lady are officially back home after a very busy trip overseas. Still ahead, key highlights from the president's travels and how the president exactly thinks it all went.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Alabama and Auburn hoping to stay alive in the NCAA softball tournament. We'll have those highlights and more coming up in sports.
All right, Chris Wrinkle, we'll see you in just a few minutes. We'll be right back.
You're watching the CBS 42 Morning News.
Well, it's do or die for Alabama and Auburn in the softball tournament yesterday. Both teams made it to the last two Women's College World Series. If Bama won, they moved on to Oklahoma City. If Auburn won, they would have forced the Game 3 that would have happened today. We'll start with Auburn and Oklahoma. Second inning, 2 on for Nicole Penley. 3-run bomb to the right field bleachers, and all of a sudden the Sooners are up 3-0. The Auburn offense has struggled the last couple days. Casey McCracken finally gets it going, gets a solo shot to left field, and the Tigers are on the board in the 5th inning with a runner on. Casey Cooper, the senior, coming through with an RBI double to pull within 1, but the Sooners add 2 the next inning. They end the Tigers season 5-2.
We have very young girls now coming on visits, and you know, when I grew up, the biggest program in Alabama was Alabama. Everybody wanted to go to Bama. And now it's girls are starting to come to Auburn. They're like, I want to come to Auburn. I want to play under Clint. And it's so rewarding.
Alabama and Florida, winner take all Game 3. Alexis Osorio on the hill. The ace not doing herself any favors. Hits Jordan Roberts with the pitch. That's going to score 1, and Florida takes a 2-0 lead in the 2nd inning. Alyssa Brown slaps single, and the throwing error is going to score a run. It is 2-1, and Bama's got some life. We'll skip ahead to the 7th inning. Go-ahead run at the plate. Not gonna happen. Florida wins 2-1. The Tide season is done. Sanford's still alive in the SoCon baseball tournament, taking on East Tennessee State. Bulldogs down early. Jordan Fucci, 2 RBI triple. He hits that to any other part of the ballpark. That's a home run. Either way, Bulldogs on the board, and then Chris Cook for ETSU sends that one out of the state. And it's the building outside of the ballpark. ETSU wins big, 16-6. Over in Hoover, the SEC baseball tournament final is set. The 2 hottest offenses in the NCAA will square off later today. Arkansas and LSU playing for all the marbles at the Met. First pitch is at 3 o'clock. And the Barons on the road last night in Mobile, and the good guys pull out a win 6-3. Spencer Adams goes 8 innings, only allowing 2 runs with 6 strikeouts. Barons have one more game in Mobile today before returning home on Tuesday. Well, that's going to do it for sports. Let's send it back to the desk.
All right, Chris Wrinkle, thank you so much. Your time right now, it is 5:51 this morning, and severe storms move through central Alabama overnight. Storm Track meteorologist Nate Harrington has your full forecast next, so don't go anywhere. This is the CBS 42 Morning News Weekend. A whole lot to get to. Join us in just a few minutes.
watching the CBS 42 Morning News.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, if you're looking for the perfect excuse to eat a juicy burger today, you're in luck because today is National Hamburger Day. Did you know that? I didn't. Well, the first known hamburger patty is said to have originated in Hamburg, Germany. But as we all know, eating the burger on the bun, of course, is an American tradition that we all love so much. Just in time for the summer grilling season, fire up that grill and make your favorite burger this weekend.
Look at that. So you know what kind of burger that is right there?
Good.
It's got cheese in the middle of it. It's called a Juicy Lucy.
Oh, my goodness.
They made those in Minneapolis. I used to work up there, and I've had one. Cheese inside of a burger might be the best invention man's ever created, next to the light bulb.
Wow.
Pretty close.
And it just explodes out of the...
Oh, so good.
Delicious.
So good.
Are you going to have a burger today?
I might.
All right, me too. I'm definitely going to have one or two, depending. All right, Nate.
Maybe even 3. Yeah, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about the weather.
We did have some severe storms that moved through, had some damage, had some trees down, power lines down. Things have calmed down considerably, although we do have still some leftover showers around. But look at this shot over the Coosa River in Gadsden. This is why we get our Storm Track Tower cameras everywhere around the state for beautiful shots like this. After the storms, things have started to turn around a little bit as the sun has come up. 66 degrees. It is not storming in Gadsden. We got visual proof. 67 Birmingham, also in Tuscaloosa. A little breath of wind, and that's really about it, with clouds still kind of lingering around. We expect the clouds to hang out, and we do think we'll see a couple more chances for some showers and maybe a rumble of thunder or 2 for the rest of the morning. But by 11 o'clock, noon, things will turn around. We'll see more sunshine, a little bit of sunshine, and temperatures warming up into the middle 80s. There is Storm Track Radar. We're following a couple of different areas, one well off to our north and west, areas of rain, no thunderstorms, but basically a boundary, an outflow boundary from Anniston all the way through down to the southwest corner of our viewing area in Utah and Greene County. Futurecast having a tough time picking up some of the outflow boundary and some of the other mechanisms that cause some of the storms that we had around for today. So having a tough time figuring out when rain is going to happen. Thinking that showers are possible for us later tonight into early tomorrow morning. Then another round is possible for us on Monday afternoon into the evening time hours. Again on Tuesday, we've got more rain to talk about all the way through the week. Looking at your forecast, though, for Memorial Day weekend, the rest of it, not looking too bad today, but showers and thunderstorms likely around here and even down on the Gulf Coast. Not a bad day today, but showers and thunderstorms likely down on the beaches for Memorial Day. Then on Tuesday, another round of rain, 50% shot, and then more rain chances Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Alex?
All right, Nate, thank you. Your time right now, it is 5:57, everyone. And right before Memorial Day, one local National Guard unit is preparing for deployment. Straight ahead, where the Springville National Guard is headed and a look at how the community is getting them ready. You're watching CBS 42 Morning News. We'll be right back.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Storm Track meteorologist Nate Harrington. The severe weather is now done. We just see some remnant showers still left over on Storm Track radar early this morning. We will see a little bit of clearing for the afternoon. We'll call it a partly sunny day with highs in the mid-80s, but more rain expected for your Memorial Day holiday. Details on that, the CBS 42 News, our morning news starts right now.
Good morning, Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Anniston, and all of Central Alabama. You're watching the CBS 42 Morning News.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Alex Finney. Well, we know that it's quiet right now, but that wasn't the case overnight. You just heard Nate talking about it. Storms left behind damage in parts of central and west Alabama, even trapping people inside a home in Coleman County near the Gold Ridge community. Storm Track meteorologist Nate Harrington is tracking all of this for us this morning. And Nate, the big question is, what can we expect today?
Well, we can expect much better conditions than what we had overnight. These storms rolled through the Midwest yesterday, then moved through Tennessee, parts of Mississippi, and now the leftovers are moving through central Alabama. The showers that we've got right now from Sylacauga through Talladega up through Clay County, this is really the strongest part of the storms that are left over. They're moving pretty rapidly down to the south and east, and that's what the trend will be if we see any more rainfall for the rest of the morning and into the afternoon. But look at these storms, how big they were, especially the lightning, vivid lightning all morning long. These big clusters of storms started way in the north and moved down to the south. The concentrated areas of damage that we had in Marion County and also in Coleman, the result of 60, 70, and 80 mile per hour wind gusts at times. So what are you expecting for today? Well, temperatures rising into the upper 80s and low 90s in some spots. We'll call it a partly sunny sky. Not a terrible day to be outside. You're still going to be pretty humid. It's still going to be muggy out there for tomorrow, or for today, I should say. Tomorrow looks like we've got more rain chances, unfortunately. Details on that coming up in a few minutes. Alex, over to you.
All right, Nate, thank you so much. Developing now, a woman is recovering after being shot in the back of the head. We know that this incident happened last night in Blount County, and sheriff's deputies say the woman was shot in the Cleveland area, but jumped out of a car and ran into a Jack's in Blountsville. She was taken to the hospital. Now, at this time, deputies do not have a person of interest. They actually have a person of interest and are interviewing witnesses at this time, I should say. Deputies believe the shooting is drug-related. Also developing now, Irondale police are searching for a suspect in the city's first homicide this year. Police tell us Jakar Christian was shot to death Friday night in the backyard of a home. He was visiting a female friend who lives at that house, and police say the suspect, Broderick Morgan, is the woman's ex-boyfriend, and the two actually have a child together. Investigators believe Morgan thought the victim was dating his ex. James Payne cuts the lawn at this home on Monticello Drive, and he says it's a sad situation all the way around.
You can't put a price tag on that, man. You can't put a price tag on nobody's life. But why even go through that, man?
Police say Morgan is still on the run and is believed to be armed and dangerous. So if you know anything that could help investigators at this time, please call Crime Stoppers. That number is 254-7777. Right now, the Springville National Guard unit is preparing for deployment to the Middle East, and businesses and churches in Springville and Trussville held a send-off feast for nearly 100 members of the 208th Seaburn Company last night. The soldiers and their families enjoyed a steak dinner with all the trimmings ahead of their deployment.
It makes it easy to deploy when you know that the community that you serve loves and supports, and just the love that they show every one of the unit, and just them being here means so much to these soldiers.
The 208th is the first hazmat chemical unit in the state of Alabama to go on a mission like this as part of Operation Enduring Freedom. New this morning, President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump are back in Washington after a 9-day overseas trip. That trip included visits to Saudi Arabia, Israel, the Vatican, Belgium, Italy, and a stop to visit U.S. troops at NATO's Sigonella Naval Air Base in Sicily. During the visit, the president declared his first foreign trip a victory.
And I think we hit a home run no matter where we are. We're thrilled to be here right now, and we're getting on that very big plane. We're heading back to Washington and the United States.
President Trump was the only foreign leader at the G7 summit not to commit to the 2015 Paris climate change agreement, but says that he'd put the decision off for just another week. Well, meanwhile, the president lands in Washington with another firestorm awaiting him. Right now, we know that there are new questions about President Trump's advisor and his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and his dealings with Russia. Errol Barnett has the latest from the White House.
He is so great. If you can't produce peace in the Middle East, nobody can.
Speaking on the eve of his inauguration, President-elect Donald Trump praised his 36-year-old son-in-law and advisor, Jared Kushner. Kushner, a core pillar of Trump's inner circle, had been operating as the chief conduit between President Trump and foreign officials during the campaign. Reuters is reporting of at least 3 previously undisclosed contacts at that time between Kushner and the Russian ambassador, Sergei Kislyak. The Washington Post claims Kushner was interested at establishing a back channel of communications with the Kremlin. The FBI is already scrutinizing Kushner's Russian contacts, but has not accused him of any wrongdoing. Among the communications is a December meeting with the Russian ambassador and a follow-up with Sergei Gorkov, the chairman of Russian state-owned bank VEB. That bank is currently sanctioned by the United States. Democrats like California's Ted Lieu now want the president's trusted advisor punished.
He is now in a compromisable position. He needs to have his security clearance suspended.
In a statement responding to the Reuters report, Kushner's attorney said, quote, Mr. Kushner participated in thousands of calls in this time period. He has no recollection of the calls described. Now, Jared Kushner's lawyer also says they have requested dates of the alleged undisclosed Russian contacts so they can investigate. Meanwhile, former FBI Director James Comey, who has agreed to testify in front of the Senate Intelligence Committee, is still coordinating when to do so. Errol Barnett, CBS News, Washington.
Well, we know the president was asked about the controversy after landing back at the White House last night. The president did not respond to the reporter, but did wave, and he kept on walking. New this morning, a large group gathers to remember the victims of a train stabbing in Portland, Oregon. Tearful speakers stepped into the crowd, urging people to fight back against hate while also expressing their condolences. 2 people were killed and another was hurt by a man police say was yelling insults at 2 young Muslim women right there on the train. Police say a group of men came to their defense and the suspect slashed their throats. The victims are being honored as heroes.
2 men lost their lives standing up to somebody spewing hateful words directed at Muslim passengers on an afternoon commuter train. These 2 men died heroes as a result of a horrific act of racist violence.
The suspect, 35-year-old Jeremy Joseph Christian, fled the scene but was captured by police a short time later. He faces several charges, including aggravated murder. Well, on another note, or actually with this sticking with this story, we know senators and representatives weighed in on this attack, also sending condolences. Hillary Clinton, you see her Twitter page here. The former presidential candidate retweeted a New York Times article about the stabbing, tweeting, quote, heartbreaking. No one should have to endure this racist abuse. No one should have to give their life to stop it. New this morning, a paper written by staffers of a foundation reviewing exactly how the Orlando Police Department responded to that mass shooting at Pulse nightclub says police training and protocols may need to change. The paper says regular patrol officers should be trained on exactly how to respond to a terrorist attack or a hostage situation. Both situations are normally handled by SWAT teams, but patrol officers normally arrive to the scene first. The foundation has not issued a formal report just yet.
But back home, you'll always run to sweet Melissa.
A founding member of the Allman Brothers and pioneer of Southern rock has died. 69-year-old Greg Allman passed away Saturday after complications from liver cancer. Allman's music combined jazz, country, and blues to crank out hits like Rambling Man, Wiping Post, and also Midnight Rider. Tune into CBS Sunday morning at 8 for more reaction as the music world remembers Greg Allman. Happening today, Alabama Veterans Memorial Park will host a special Memorial Day remembrance ceremony. The tribute will kick off at 1 this afternoon with a performance by the Bob Moore Band. There will also be a stepstone dedication by the Alabama Veterans Memorial Foundation at the American Flag Plaza from 2 to 3:30 this afternoon. The event is free, and the Alabama Veterans Memorial Park is located off the Liberty Parkway exit off of I-459. Your time right now, it is 6:10 this morning, and the University of Alabama announces a pretty cool project still ahead, the new ice radar system that's being worked on right now.
Very cool. We're talking about leftover showers from some of the storms, severe weather that we had overnight. Looks like we'll have a chance for more showers for the rest of the morning, but clearing out for the afternoon. Details coming up when the CBS 42 Morning News continues. Yeah, I know. I know. That was last time, Bobo. This time is this time, and last time was last time. What's B16? Okay.
You're watching the CBS 42 Morning News.
Welcome back as we help you plan your Sunday. Things getting a whole lot better. I know we've got showers around right now, in some spots even hearing some rumbles of thunder, but things are going to get better for the afternoon. The clouds are going to stick around, but temperatures go up into the mid-80s, and even by 1 o'clock, I think a decent amount of sunshine breaking through some of those thick clouds. We will have to deal with, once again, more rain for Memorial Day. Some more actual damage reports coming out now. We had one just reported in Walker County. This was earlier this morning, but some of the folks getting up and seeing some of the damage around. This was actually in Nauvoo, some trees down there in Walker County, northern Walker County. But the heaviest concentration of those strong winds were in Marion and Coleman County early this morning, right around 1:30 to 2 o'clock in the morning. This is what's left. Showers around. Do have some rumbles of thunder. This one storm now moving out of Lamar County will be moving into Fayette County here very shortly. Carbon Hill, Townley, Oakman, Jasper in the next 10 minutes to around half an hour or so if it holds together. We expect it to. Nothing severe out of this, but still have a chance to see some rainfall and hear some thunder and see some lightning out there. Temperatures, though, will warm up when we see some sunshine, and I think we will through those clouds. Numbers getting back into the middle and upper 80s, some spots close to 90 for today, and then more rain around for Memorial Day. Turning our attention to space, let's go to space, shall we? NASA's Juno spacecraft is finding a world of surprises as it orbits giant Jupiter. Scientists say they found countless Earth-sized cyclones across Jupiter's poles and a deep interior where a larger than expected fuzzy core, in a planet, may lurk beneath a layer of metallic hydrogen. Juno's next close approach to Jupiter is set for July 11th. For the first time, the spacecraft will pass directly above Jupiter's Great Red Spot. A fuzzy core,
Fuzzy
Alex.
core. That's interesting. Okay. Well, I like
I'll buy it, I guess.
those pictures. They were
Those
interesting.
pictures
too.
are fantastic,
Yeah.
but
Up close and
I'm
personal.
more interested in the fuzzy
view for us
core. I'm
this
going to do a little
morning.
bit more research on that.
Yeah, do that, Nate. Let me know what you find.
Okay.
New this morning, engineering researchers at the University of Alabama are developing a system to help measure the world's ice sheets and glaciers. Look at this. The team is working on a type of radar that can be used to scan the interior of ice. Right now, scientists aren't sure exactly how much melting ice will influence rising seas as the climate changes, so the new radar will be able to measure ice in a way not currently possible. UA's new remote sensing center is leading the project that funded through a nearly $1 million grant from a Danish foundation. New this morning, a video game is simulating the mean streets of one major city here in the U.S. It's called We Are Chicago, and it's all in hopes to reduce violence and keep kids alive. Players guide the main character, a high school senior, in and out of possible conflicts like avoiding gang members. And whether the character survives is based on decisions that the players make.
The focus of the game is trying to educate people about what's happening and trying to inform them about what's going on in these kind of personal situations that you don't typically see, because you're making those choices. You're having to decide what this character is going to do in any situation.
An interesting take on crime there. Well, the game's head writer says he wanted to represent his neighborhood well without sugarcoating all the dangerous situations that are happening. New this morning, a Virginia state trooper dies after being shot, and we know that that suspect is behind bars after a nearly 12-hour search. Virginia State Police say a Richmond police officer and special agent Michael Walter noticed a silver Chevy Cobalt was going the wrong way in traffic. Now, while the officer spoke with the driver, the suspect, 27-year-old Travis Ball, shot Walter and ran. Special Agent Walter, we know, unfortunately died early Saturday morning. Ball was taken into custody around an hour later after tips from the public led police to a home nearly 70 miles east of Richmond.
We're family, and like any family, these sorts of losses are incredibly tragic to us, and they have a significant impact. So it's strengthened us in so many ways, as tragic as it is.
Special Agent Walter served in the state police for nearly 20 years. He leaves behind a wife and 3 children. Take a look at this dramatic video this morning after, you're seeing here, a boy, oh my goodness, he falls out of that water slide in Dublin, California. It was during the Wave Water Park's grand opening there. We know the 10-year-old was thrown from the slide's base and landed on that cement. The boy didn't need an ambulance, thankfully, and was treated right there with a first aid kit. Park goers say they'll give the slide a chance anyways because they believe the boy may have uncrossed his legs and was not following those rules. In consumer news this morning, British Airways hopes to be in the air again today, after a global system outage on its IT system causes severe disruption to flights operating worldwide. This happened on Saturday. We know flights were canceled at London's Heathrow and Gatwick airports. British Airways says some IT systems are back, but there will still be some disruption to its flight schedules as aircrafts and crews are out of position around the world. Passengers with flights today or tomorrow can rebook travel through June 10th. And over to this story now. A butcher in Wisconsin ups its customer service game. Oh yeah, RJ's Meats is now selling bacon, brats, and other cuts through a vending machine. We never thought we'd see the day. Here it is. The owner says the demand for prime cuts and quality beef is constant, and they just can't seem to keep up with the 24/7 demand. So instead, the refrigerated box just opened, allowing customers to buy Greek brats and feta and olives, a bratwurst with wild rice, also some tomato, basil, parmesan, and a whole lot more at any time they want. There you go. Meat on the go for everyone. Pretty cool. Your time right now, it is 6:19 this morning, and families taking a turn now continue to grieve after a deadly terror attack in Manchester. Coming up, the new plea from one family after their daughter is killed. You're watching CBS 42 Morning News. That story and much more right after the break. We'll be right back.
It's time for a new year at Alabama Splash Adventure. Every summer starts with something new at the park, but this year it's a little different.
We have the best lifeguards in the world, and I participated in the class this year. So I'm a certified lifeguard for the first time in 40 years. Wow. And the times have changed so much, but our guards are so well trained, they have to go through 3 days of 24 hours of training plus an examination in order to be certified. And then during the season, we audit and watch them to make sure that they're doing their jobs to keep all of our guests safe.
With all of those lifeguards watching your kids, parents, grandparents, you can completely relax under one of these amazing cabanas. It's cool, it's comfortable, and it makes your experience even that much better.
We have added 4 premium luxury cabanas, so welcome to Hollywood, Alabama here. 4 luxurious cabanas, which includes safe, TV, fans. I mean, it's fantastic. I rarely get to take a break, but when I do, I sit in one of these things and I just feel like so peaceful. They're so nice.
Up to 8 people can hang out in the shade of a cabana. So how do you get one?
The cabanas are available online. You can call and make a reservation for them, and I suggest you do reserve in advance because they do go very, very quickly. We sell out of all of our cabanas on Saturday, so book now if you're planning on coming.
Want to go every day this summer? They can handle that too.
And, season passes include daily visits all summer long, which means if you wanted to visit every day of the summer, you could. And we had a couple guests last year that did. But it's a great deal. Right now, they're at their lowest price ever. They do go up June 1, so buy now.
And before you come out to take advantage of the rides, free sunscreen and free drinks, Dan has a little advice.
When I was little with the free unlimited soft drinks, you'd make the suicide, right? You take the Pepsi, Diet Pepsi, and the Gator. You can do those kinds of things if you're a kid, make your own drink. Or you can have water as a healthy choice, or mix it a little bit with pink lemonade, whatever you want, however much ice. So it's a really cool, I use it all day long.
Head out today to take part in the big opening weekend at Splash Adventure. For CBS 42 Community, I'm Lillian Lalo.
The preceding portion of the CBS 42 Morning News was sponsored by Alabama Splash Adventure. You're watching the CBS 42 Morning News.
Welcome back, everyone. It's 6:25, and on that note, let's dive into the weather.
Let's do it.
With Nate.
Let's do it. Yeah, had some pretty nasty thunderstorms roll through here late last night, early this morning. Those are all gone, thank goodness. Had some damage though that is going to need to be cleaned up, unfortunately, for this morning. But it looks like most of the rain should taper off here by later on this morning into the afternoon. Nice picture, though, right now in Gadsden, looking down the Coosa River there from our brand new Storm Track Tower camera. No rainfall in Gadsden right now, no thunderstorms, just a little bit of cloud cover. Same goes with Birmingham and Tuscaloosa. Numbers checking in the middle and upper 60s region-wide. I think by the time we get to noon, that's when things start to turn the corner. Shower chances, we'll call them scattered around for the rest of the morning by 10 to 11 o'clock. Then clouds kind of take hold. They're not going to move too much. Numbers get into the low 80s by lunchtime. I think we rise into the middle and upper 80s for the afternoon. So a couple of different areas that we're watching as far as the rain goes, still left over. Have some thunderstorms now moving through northern Clay County. We also have some showers that are moving back into the northwest corner of our viewing area. Don't get too excited about these. These are not severe, no thunderstorms, just a lot of light and moderate rainfall. And then you've got this line from the outflow boundary that we had from all the nasty storms. That's the line. We're the strongest of the storms now in Clay County, moving through Cleburne County as well. It's stretched on down through Chilton County, through Perry, Hale, Greene County. Just a lot of rainfall right now, right along that line. Computer models having a tough time figuring out what exactly is going to happen for today. I think we have a decent chance to see a shower or two in some spots for late tonight and early tomorrow. Then Monday, I think we really have a pretty good shot at seeing some showers and thunderstorms around for Memorial Day during the late morning and into the afternoon as well, and into the evening time hours as well. It's just not going to be the best Memorial Day on record for us, with chances of rain all throughout the day. So let's talk about folks down at the beach. If you're heading down there, temperatures in the low 80s today. Monday, unfortunately, might be a day to head back. Numbers in the 80s, but good chances for showers and thunderstorms, just like we'll see here. Then on Tuesday, we continue this rainy, unsettled pattern, and all of that rainfall yeah, stacks up all through next week into the start of the weekend. Alex?
All right, Nate, thank you so much. Your time right now, it is 6:27, and breaking overnight, another military test is underway in North Korea. Straight ahead, the latest from state-run media and the new order from Kim Jong-un. You're watching CBS 42 Morning News, a live look at the Indianapolis 500 as we toss you to break on this Sunday morning. We'll be right back.
Good morning, Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Anniston, and all of Central Alabama. You're watching the CBS 42 Morning News.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for waking up with us. Happy Memorial Day weekend. Let's get a check on your weekend forecast with Storm Check meteorologist Nate Harrington. Nate, we had a wild night.
It was.
Yeah.
I was here all night.
He's here all day, folks.
And all day. Absolutely, yeah. It was crazy watching these storms form, just blow through Tennessee really quickly and move into here. Damage in parts of Winston, Marion, Coleman counties. Now we've got just some leftover showers. I think we've got a chance to see a few more rumbles of thunder, and we even have some right now throughout the rest of the morning, 9, 10 o'clock. By 11 or so, I think things start to calm down, and by the afternoon, we'll actually see a little bit of sunshine. So where are the thunderstorms right now? Most of them East Alabama, south of Interstate 20. So from Cleburne County down through Clay County, through the southern end of Talladega County into northern Chilton County, that's where the thunderstorms are now. They're not severe, they're very small, and they're moving pretty quickly off to the south and to the east. The broader scale look, there you see where more of the rainfall is right now, still kind of hanging out near the Mississippi River, but it's all headed to the east. Still think we could see some showers, especially North Alabama, but it's been worked over, the atmosphere has, by all this rain and thunderstorm activity, that severe weather not likely once again for the afternoon. I still think By that time, by noontime, 1, 2 o'clock, we'll start to see warming temperatures and just a lot of cloud cover out there. Numbers in the upper 80s possible, close to 90 degrees in some spots. So what a turnaround. But by Memorial Day, things change once again. Details on that forecast coming up in just a few minutes, Alex.
All right, Nate, thanks so much. Breaking overnight, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un supervises the tests of a new anti-aircraft weapon system and orders its mass production and deployment throughout the country. State media showed video of Kim watching military drills. Media did not report the exact nature of the weapon or when the test took place. The latest test follows a series of defiant ballistic missile tests by the North Korean military. Developing now, Hoover police are investigating after a woman is found dead inside her car in a parking lot. We know it happened at the Cadians Place shopping center. This is on Cahaba Valley Road. Police say there are no obvious signs of trauma or injury, and the cause of death is still being determined. Over to this story. Right now, Alabama has a new law that could prevent voters from switching parties between a primary and a subsequent runoff. The law stops voters from casting a ballot in one political party's primary and then voting in the other party's primary runoff. Senator Tom Whately says it will prevent voters from trying to interfere in another party's runoff. Secretary of State John Merrill says it will be in place for an anticipated September runoff in the U.S. Senate seat special election. New this morning, 2 of President Trump's sons lay out their father's long-term political plans. Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump held a series of meetings at the Republican National Committee on Thursday. They reportedly discussed the midterm elections and Trump's 2020 election outlook. The pair currently runs the Trump Organization, but the meeting suggests that could have a role. They could actually have a role in the president's future political activity. Well, meanwhile, President Trump is back in Washington this morning after a 9-day overseas trip. We know he met with dozens of world leaders discussing terrorism, trade, and climate change. The president also comes home to brand new questions about a key member of his inner circle and their relations with Russia. Margaret Brennan has more from Trump's last stop.
And I think we hit a home run no matter where we are. We're thrilled to be here right now, and we're getting on that very big plane. We're heading back to Washington and the United States.
President Trump used a visit with U.S. troops at an airbase in Sicily to declare his first foreign trip a victory, pointing to a $110 billion arms deal in Saudi Arabia and pledges of counterterrorism support from partners as his key victories.
We're going to have a lot of strength, and we're going to have a lot of peace.
The president presented himself as a disruptor, not a diplomat. He was the only foreign leader at the G7 summit not to commit to the 2015 Paris climate change agreement. The president tweeted he'd put off that decision for another week. The Trump administration remains deeply divided on the accord, which puts limits on greenhouse gas emissions. America's closest allies, including Japan, Germany, Canada, France, Italy, and the UK, all issued a communique saying the U.S. was, quote, not in a position to join consensus. That frustrated German Chancellor Angela Merkel, who described the discussion as, quote, very difficult, if not to say very dissatisfying. The White House declared the summit unbelievably successful. Diplomats in meetings with Mr. Trump told CBS News that he was very quiet and mainly in a listening mode. Not so on the president's America First trade policy, or at NATO, where the president pushed America's military allies to boost their own spending on defense.
Money is starting to pour in. It's only fair to the United States. We want to be treated fairly. And we're behind NATO all the way, but we want to be treated fairly.
All right, well, it isn't clear what money President Trump was referring to, as NATO members do not pay the U.S. We know that reporters weren't able to ask about it since Mr. Trump skipped the usual presidential press conference that's usually held at the end of the president's first foreign trip. New this morning, fans in Manchester head to a new concert days after a bombing attack kills 22 people outside a concert venue. Singer Anastasia performed at the O2 Apollo venue. Police officers secured the area outside, and while concertgoers say they were concerned, it still made them feel a little bit safer.
A little bit, but we feel pretty safe. We were in spent the day in Manchester city centre today, and there's a lot of police around, and we felt very safe, didn't we? Yeah, so, and Anastasia has actually said as well that, yeah, there's nothing to worry about. So.
Britain's threat level was reduced to severe on Saturday, but the Army will continue to patrol streets until Tuesday. The family of one victim is calling for the government of the UK to, quote, open their eyes. The family of Georgiana Callender made the plea in a statement released to Manchester police, saying that they are not the last in a long list of parents who have lost children to terrorism. The 18-year-old's family says their lives changed forever on May 22nd. Over to this story now. Authorities in Texas are searching for a 3-year-old boy who wandered away from a campsite near New Waverly on Saturday. The boy, named Ezra, was last seen wearing a red shirt and blue shorts. The campsite where he was last seen is in a remote area and was not a formal campsite. Officials say they don't want to flood the forest with different scents so as not to confuse dogs helping in that search effort. New this morning, get this, a wild story here. A FedEx driver steals money from a woman in Missouri, and it's all caught on security camera. Take a look. The camera shows the driver dropping off packages, then picks up $60 that the woman left under her doormat specifically for her daughter. Well, we know that the daughter passed the driver on her way home, and that's when she noticed, when she got home, that the money was missing. The girl's father tracked down the man and confronted the driver, who then apologized and gave the money back.
It was sad. I mean, you know, we all struggle. We all go through hard times. And sadly, my daughter works really hard. I mean, she's only 17. She works really hard for her money. I work really hard.
Well, FedEx says they're reviewing the incident, and the family, we know, is not filing a police report, so no criminal charges are expected. Well, right now it's Memorial Day weekend, and on that note, we also know that law enforcement is going to be out in full force. They're going to make sure that everyone is safe on the roads and also on the water. The Alabama Law Enforcement Agency is reminding people to keep safety in mind when they head out and have some fun. Troopers are also focusing on the Click It or Ticket campaign this weekend. Your time right now, it's 6:40, and after the break, a family's garage catches on fire, and one toy may be to blame. After the break, why firefighters are issuing new warnings about hoverboards.
Watching the leftover showers from the severe storms that we had overnight last night. Things have quieted down, but there's still some areas of activity out there. We'll go over that storm track radar when the CBS 42 Morning News continues.
You're watching the CBS 42 Morning News.
Welcome back. No rain around, but plenty of cloud cover from our BJCC camera looking down over downtown Birmingham. A lot of clouds around for today. I think we do see a little bit of sunshine. We'll warm up a bit, but still not the nice sunny weekend, Memorial Day weekend, a lot of us were hoping for the vacation time. We're talking about temperatures back in the middle 80s for this afternoon. Looking at 86 degrees for a possible high this afternoon in Birmingham. I think some spots will be a little bit warmer, some spots will be a little bit cooler. Before that, though, I think a decent shot to see at least another passing shower or thunderstorm. Right now, a lot of thunder and a lot of lightning from Clay County over to Randolph County near Folsom. We've got the showers and some thunderstorms also on the west side of the viewing area, but not as numerous and not as large as they were earlier this morning. These storms just packed a big punch. The damage that we saw in Coleman County and also in Marion County, that was all due to some wind gusts upwards of 60 to 70 miles per hour. There you see high temperature forecasts, middle to upper 80s, even some spots getting close to 90 degrees for this afternoon. We'll see highs in the middle 80s for folks in Birmingham as well. A lot of 87s and 88s on that map for the afternoon. Cooler tomorrow with lots of clouds and unfortunately rainfall for Memorial Day. Right now, forecasters trying to determine if a tornado hit Lebanon, Missouri on Saturday. A powerful storm pummeled Laclede County. I think it's Laclede County, damaging several homes in the area. A sheriff says no one was hurt, thank goodness. The winds knocked over trees, power lines, leaving about 4,000 homes and businesses without power. Emergency crews are now assessing the damage. Ooh. We had just straight line winds around here.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get some pictures of some of the damage around Marion County, also Coleman County, but most likely definitely no tornadoes. It was all straight line winds for this morning.
Thank goodness.
Around here. Yep.
All right. New this morning, witnesses say a hoverboard explosion caused a house fire near Topeka, Kansas, Saturday afternoon. Take a look at this video here. This is the house. The fire started in the garage next to the family's home, and thankfully everyone was able to escape those flames and no one was actually hurt. Now, one teen says the explosion happened while he and two other kids were charging that hoverboard.
Well, we were in the kitchen talking, and then we saw a spark out of the garage, and there was a hoverboard, and it sparked, and then it went up into flames pretty fast. And then there were some boxes in the garage, so those caught on fire pretty fast.
Well, fire crews were able to contain flames to the garage, and at this time, the fire marshal is still investigating. Police arrest a driver who crashed his car at Baltimore Washington International Airport. He rammed the car through a security gate just feet away from passengers. The closed security gate is used mostly for private and charter planes. Investigators say the incident is not terrorism related. At this time, local and federal authorities are questioning that man. Your time right now, it is 6:46, and a special brew for a special animal at the Cincinnati Zoo. I like that. Next, why this hoppy beer is helping a little hippo. We're taking you there in just a few minutes, so stay with us right here on CBS 42 Morning News. We'll be right back.
You're watching the CBS 42 Morning News.
Welcome back, everyone. New this morning, a baby hippo named Fiona is the star of the Cincinnati Zoo, so much so that she's going to have a beer named after her. That does not happen every day. We know Jason Brewer spoke with the people at the zoo about baby hippo Fiona back in April, and since then, he and his fellow brewers at Listerman have been working on a light and fruity beer to support Team Fiona. 25% of those proceeds from the sale of the New England-style pale ale will go to the care of the 4-month-old hippo.
It's just all about making the world a better place than where we found it. You know, Fiona is something that has really come into our hearts and found a place to it. So, you know, making her world better and, you know, the conservation efforts.
Oh, she's so cute. Team Fiona IPA will make its debut on June 10th. And Fiona was born early, back in January, but is now doing well, like we just saw in that video. Happy, happy hippo.
There you go.
Oh,
hungry,
so
hungry
cute.
hippo.
Yeah, well, I'm sure she's hungry too. She's like me, she's hungry all the time.
That little baby will turn into a 1-ton humongous animal.
Yes,
Isn't that
yes.
crazy?
And
That's
she'll
nuts.
still be cute.
Yes, she will be.
Just a little older.
There you go.
Anyway, on that note,
Yes.
let's go from hippos to weather. Nate, what do we
Seamless
got?
transition. We're talking the leftover remnants of what we had to deal with very early this morning. Most likely you had some thunder and lightning where you were, woke you up out of bed, especially in northwest corner of our viewing area. We'll check out storm track radar in a second, but still see a lot of low clouds, even a little bit of fog in the valleys early this morning near Gadsden and the Coosa River. Temperatures in the mid-60s. Not raining, not storming in Gadsden. We've got the proof right here on our storm track tower camera. A little breath of wind out of the northwest and northeast early this morning. So the chances are there to see a couple of more rumbles of thunder, maybe a couple of more showers where you are. And then we see improvement by late in the morning, 11 o'clock or so. Then by noon and into the afternoon, temperatures warm up. Well, we'll see just a little bit, and I mean a little bit of sunshine, but that'll be enough to warm things up back into the middle and upper 80s. So a couple of different areas of showers that we're tracking right now. This one, just some heavy rainfall for folks in the northwest corner of the viewing area that were worked over already early. This is where the worst damage was. Marion, Winston, Lamar County. You saw some trees down, also some power lines down, also in Coleman County. Winds upwards of 80 miles per hour at times in Coleman County. Now we have these thunderstorms that are moving on out, actually moving down to the south and to the east, but basically moving out of our viewing area. Folks in Randolph County seeing those storms there near Wedowee. Some lightning there for early on Sunday morning. Let's talk about what we can expect for the rest of today. I think we stand a pretty good chance to see some showers, maybe a rumble of thunder or two. By the time we get to noon, though, that's when things start to turn around for us. Rain chances move out. Some slivers of sunshine show up, and that's when temperatures will warm up as well, back into the upper 80s. For tonight and early tomorrow, another round of rain is possible. Storm Track Futurecast not picking it up, but I think it's going to be there. There it goes. Early tomorrow morning. Kind of like the same time frame we had here. Severe weather chances going to be dicey, but I think we might see a strong thunderstorm or two. On Monday, into the evening time hours, another round of rain, and into Tuesday, it's just going to be a mess most of Monday. And there you see chances of showers, thunderstorms, right around 60% or so. Same goes for folks down at the beach. A smaller chance of rain on Monday, but still, it's going to be there. Not the best Memorial Day we've ever had. Tuesday, rain chances continue, highs in the 80s next week, and rain chances go all the way through next Saturday. Alex?
All right, Nate, thanks. Your time right now, it is 6:53 this morning, and if you are just getting up with us on this Sunday morning, we're going to get you all caught up on the stories we've been covering throughout the morning. So stay with us right here on CBS 42 Morning News. We'll be right back.
You're watching the CBS 42 Morning News.
Welcome back. Well, if you're just getting up with us, let's take a look at the top stories we've been covering throughout the morning. First, over to this one. A woman is recovering after being shot in the back of the head. Blount County Sheriff's deputies say the woman was shot in the Cleveland area, but was found at a Jack's in Blountsville. Deputies believe the shooting may be drug-related. Irondale police are investigating the city's first homicide of the year. Jakar Christian was killed Friday night while visiting a female friend. Police are now searching for the woman's ex-boyfriend, Broderick Morgan. Hoover police are investigating after a woman is found dead inside her car. This happened in a parking lot. The Cadience Place Shopping Center on Cahaba Valley Road is where this incident occurred, and at this time, police say the cause of death is still being determined. The Alabama Law Enforcement Agency is reminding people to stay safe this holiday weekend. Millions of drivers are expected to hit the roads and the sky. Aaliyah is also focusing on the Click It or Ticket campaign.
And a lot of cloud cover from the leftover showers, thunderstorms, severe weather that we had early this morning. Right now on our Storm Track Tower camera on the BJCC looking over downtown Birmingham, you can see all those clouds out there. No rainfall around though right now. That rainfall though is coming down in the northwest corner of our viewing area. Folks that were worked over the worst by these storms seeing those showers, so you have to wait just a little bit to assess some damage and possibly start the cleanup efforts, because that's going to be going on for today, and we'll have more on where the damage was a little bit later on. We want to show you the Memorial Day weekend forecast today and tomorrow, and today will be a better day by the afternoon with highs in the middle and upper 80s. Monday not looking that great, still good chances for showers and thunderstorms, and even down on the beach. Should be a nicer day today, but Monday not looking too great for Memorial Day. And then the Storm Track 7-day forecast, rain chances just continue all next week. It's going to look more like summer around here than June, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you back here tonight.
I will be back here tonight.
And everyone, enjoy your weekend. Take care. Bye.